All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some pretty intense stuff today, the liturgy of the word.
Yeah, definitely intense.
Yeah, so we're working with readings from Isaiah, Psalms, Corinthians, and Mark, all from the good old USCCB, really
Mhm.
trying to figure out, especially with Advent coming up, like, what are these readings trying to tell us? What are the big themes that we should be paying attention to?
I think what's really cool about these readings is they're like all across like different time periods.
Yeah.
So it gives a really interesting perspective of like God's relationship to humanity.
And how that's, like, evolved over time or
Oh,
how.
so different, yeah, or different aspects of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, I mean, Isaiah, let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
Rend the heavens and come down. Like,
Mhm.
whoa, what a powerful, like, almost desperate image. What do you think is, like, driving that? What's behind that intensity?
So if you can imagine, like Isaiah was speaking for people who were super lost, like physically and spiritually. So like the Israelites, they were exiled from their homeland, and it really seemed like God had just like straight up abandoned them.
Right, and their covenant was broken.
Yeah, totally. So Isaiah becomes like the mouthpiece for their longing, for God to just show up, rip open the sky and be like, hey, I'm here. What's up?
Yeah, it's like, we need you. We need you to show us the way back.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that need to get back to God, that seems to be in Psalm 80 too, right?
Oh, totally. Both of those readings are all about repentance,
Okay.
but like not just saying my bad. It's more about teshuva, this Hebrew word that means like totally turning yourself around, like a 180.
Wow. It's like you messed up and you're like, okay, I'm going in a totally different direction now.
Yeah. It's about realizing you're on the wrong path and actively getting back on track.
It makes you think, like, are there areas in our own lives where we need to make that U-turn,
Yeah.
get back on God's path?
I think that's a question everyone should ask themselves.
Yeah, definitely. So Psalm 80 uses this metaphor of a
Yeah.
vine. Like, God plants the vine, but it needs care, right?
Oh,
It
absolutely.
can wither or it can be super fruitful. It's such a vivid image.
I know, right? And it's such a great image for our relationship with God. Are we tending to it, letting it grow? Or are we letting it, like, dry up and die?
Totally. And I think that metaphor also works for other parts of our lives, too, like our relationships, our work, anything where we're trying to grow and be fruitful.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we've got Isaiah in the Psalms talking about needing God, wanting to come back to him. Then there's Paul in Corinthians, and he's got a totally different vibe.
Yeah, a lot more positive.
He's telling the Corinthians that they're, like, loaded with gifts,
Yeah.
that they're lacking nothing. It's all about abundance and encouragement.
I love that. It just shows how the Bible can meet us wherever we're at. Sometimes we need that tough love, like the Israelites in Isaiah. Sometimes we just need a reminder of how blessed we already are, like the Corinthians.
Right, and Paul's basically saying you already have everything you need to live a good life, a faithful life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's something we can focus on during Advent as we prepare for Jesus,
Yeah.
recognizing where we need to turn back to God, but also being grateful for all the good stuff he's already given us.
Yeah, for sure. It's beautiful.
And then there's Mark, and his gospel's all about waiting for Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of easy to read that in a scary, end-of-the-world kind of way.
It is.
What do you think is the real message there?
Well, I think it's more about being intentional, like really living with purpose.
Okay.
Jesus is telling us to be awake, to be present, to be building his kingdom right now, not just waiting around for something to happen.
So it's not about fear. It's about, like, active waiting,
Yeah.
doing stuff, making choices that show we're committed to God.
Exactly. That's what it means to be watchful.
And that, like, really fits with Advent, right?
Definitely.
It's not just about presents in Santa. It's about getting our hearts ready for Jesus.
It's about making room inside for Christ's light to shine through.
That's beautiful. I like that. So today we've talked about longing for God, turning back to him, and being ready for him, all themes that are perfect for Advent.
Yeah, so much to think about.
And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to ponder. If God really did, like, rend the heavens and appear before you today, what's the one thing you'd say or ask him?
What a question.
Yeah, think about that.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll see you next time.